Okay, the guide to buying a home. Step one, think about it. Step two, we're searching for the right home. Step three, you've made an offer. And ideally, once we reach an agreement with that seller, maybe we've had to counter a couple times. Maybe we write a really great offer right off the bat. Maybe we, yeah, at some point you're going to reach an agreement, hopefully. And, if not, it just elongates the buying process. And certainly during sometimes we've experienced competitive market, competitive situations where maybe it doesn't happen the first time or the second time, but maybe your third or fourth time you make an offer, you do reach an agreement. So it will happen. Stay confident. We're here to help and at any point along the process. But once you reach an agreement, it's the next stage and it's contract pending. Now you might see on some websites they say offer, or it has offer show, meaning they've accepted an offer and they're still showing it, or maybe offer no show, meaning they're no longer showing it, or contract pending, meaning they've accepted a contract and it's pending a few other things like contingencies and then also closing date. So our time frame from the day we get a contract to the closing, which is when you get the keys and you get to move in, that time frame typically is 30 to 60 days. It's obviously a negotiable term, and there's lots of things that are negotiable within the offer, right? We're going to negotiate obviously the price, but there's other contingencies we'll have. There's going to be earnest money, which is negotiable. But this is the amount you'd put down as an initial deposit on the property, similar to if you're renting, you got to put down a deposit, or if maybe you go buy a new car, right? You put a deposit down. So buying a house is very similar. You put down your earnest money deposit, and then that gets applied toward their total purchase price. Other contingencies, things are like that you'll typically have is like an inspection contingency. Now, it's not required you do an inspection, but we highly recommend it. And this would be the time you're going to go through the property top to bottom with a home inspector, and it usually takes a couple hours, 2-3 hours or so, to go through the entire property, and they'll check all the faucets and outlets and windows, and look in the attic usually, or all the different things in the home. And they're it's not uncommon to have some things come up during the inspection, so be prepared for that. We'll help guide kind of that next step and negotiate an agreement. If there is any major defects or something comes up, then we're usually going to want to address those back to the seller. So we'll help negotiate that, either usually with like a repair or a credit or a dollar amount or something like that. So we'll help through that. The other contingencies typically you'll see is financing, unless it's a cash offer. And so you got pre-approved on the front end. Remember that pre-approval, that financing process, kind of two-step. You get pre-approved on the front end. Once we get a contract on a property, now we need to get approved for that specific property. The bank will also order an appraisal on the property, so they'll make sure that the value we offered is equal to or greater than the purchase price. So make sure that the bank's risk is kind of mitigated there with an appraisal. You'll need to line up homeowners insurance and get that lined up. So if there's any major things come up for insurance, you want to get it insured properly. Excuse me. Title search. So we will do a search on the property and make sure that, say, the before it transfers into your name, we want to make sure that you get free and clear title to the property, and the buyer's mortgages, they're all paid off. We want to make sure if they had any past due taxes that they're paid off. If there was any contractors that did work on the property, we want to make sure that they're paid. There's no liens on the property, that's called, and that's all part of the title search process. And then you'll get issued a closing disclosure or a final settlement statement, and on that, it will list all of your total charges, credits, and everything like that, and it'll show how much you need to bring to the closing in order to be able to move forward on the purchase. So that's the contract pending stage, and pretty exciting time. But once we get through that, then we get to move on to the last step.